Imagine a chessboard where the pieces are moving faster than ever. China, the grand strategist, placing pawns across Asia's vast map. In the last few years, Beijing's defense budget has ballooned to over $300 billion, fueling not just ships and jets, but a web of new security pacts that echo the Cold War's shadow games. Joint naval drills in contested waters, arms deals worth billions, exclusive port access for warships. These aren't just handshakes, they're reshaping the balance of power. For the Philippines, squeezed between the West Philippine Sea's reefs and rising tensions, this means more Chinese vessels patrolling closer to home, testing Manila's resolve and the Mutual Defense Treaty with Washington. The U.S., with its Indo-Pacific pivot, watches as allies waver. Bases like Subic Bay feel the strain, and deterrence grows thinner. China's play? Surround potential rivals, secure sea lanes for its trade empire, and chip away at America's post-Wellby-Woo dominance. But here's the twist. It's not conquest by force, but by partnership. Nations drawn in by loans, tech, and shared suspicions of the West. Today, we dive into the top 10 countries aligning with these new military alliances. From ironclad pacts to quiet tech transfers, we'll uncover why they're leaning Beijing's way, what deals are sealing the bonds, and the ripple effects on our shores in the Philippines and beyond. This isn't alarmism, it's the map of tomorrow's Asia. Stay with us as we count them down. Country 1. Pakistan. Pakistan's drift into China's military orbit isn't a sign of strength. It's a reflection of deep internal weakness and decades of global isolation. For years, Beijing has propped up a fragile Pakistani state that's plagued by economic collapse, political instability, and the world's densest concentration of UN-listed terror groups. From Lashkar-e-Taiba to Jaish-e-Mohammed, the organizations responsible for the deaths of thousands of Indians, Pakistan's soil remains a breeding ground for extremists that threaten South Asia's security architecture. In 2025, this dependency has only deepened. Unable to match India's rapidly advancing military modernization, Pakistan leans on China not as an equal partner but as a lifeline. Beijing supplies subsidized weapons, emergency loans, and diplomatic cover at global forums, benefits Pakistan cannot secure elsewhere. Even joint drills like the Shaheen series highlight the imbalance. Chinese pilots, tech crews, and systems dominate, while Pakistan plays the junior role. Deals for J-10C jets, HQ-9 air defenses, and Type 039 submarines are less about capability building and more about locking Islamabad into long-term strategic dependence. For China, Pakistan offers utility, not partnership. It's a convenient buffer on India's western flank, a corridor linking Xinjiang to the Arabian Sea, and a pressured state that can't say no. Gwadar's dual-use setup allows Chinese naval access under the guise of commerce, giving Beijing a foothold dangerously close to India's key shipping routes. This alignment also reverberates beyond South Asia. For the Philippines, a stronger China-Pakistan axis means Beijing has more room to escalate pressure in the West Philippine Sea, knowing India is busy securing land borders against a China-backed Pakistan. For the U.S., it complicates Indo-Pacific strategy, dividing attention between maritime deterrence and Pakistan's destabilizing behavior. In the 2025 border flare-up, multiple reports, including assessments cited by global security think tanks, confirmed Pakistan's use of integrated Chinese systems, the first time such hardware entered a live conflict scenario. Rather than showcasing power, it underscored Islamabad's growing reliance on Beijing for everything from weapons to intelligence. Country 2. North Korea. North Korea's bond with China is the ultimate survivor pact, born from the Korean War's ashes, now supercharged by Pyongyang's isolation and Beijing's need for a loyal thorn in America's side. Why align deeper? Kim Jong-un's regime faces crippling sanctions, economic collapse from floods and failed harvests. China steps in as the sole patron, trading oil and food for strategic loyalty, shielding the North from UN enforcement. Cooperation has hit fever pitch. Covert missile tech transfers, including solid fuel booster designs for ICBMs, paired with joint cyber drills targeting South Korean infrastructure. Border patrols now involve shared drone surveillance, and rare earth mineral swaps fund North Korean artillery upgrades with Chinese precision-guided munitions. No formal base, but exclusive access to Rajin port for PLA logistics whispers of de facto staging grounds. Beijing's angle? North Korea is the perfect buffer, keeping U.S. troops 50 miles from the Yalu River, distracting Washington with missile launches, and testing American resolve without direct confrontation. It buys time for Taiwan contingencies, where a Korean flare-up could pin down U.S. carriers. For the Philippines, this duo amplifies regional volatility. A bolder North Korea emboldens China's South China Sea probes, as U.S. forces juggle Korean alerts and Philippine patrols, straining the EDCA bases. Manila's remittances from Korean OFWs could face indirect hits from escalation. The U.S. sees its Korean deterrence eroded. With Indo-Pacific strategy fractured, more assets tied down in the north means less pivot south, handing Beijing freer rein. Reuters reported in October 2025 that China pledged to strengthen strategic cooperation with North Korea, including military exchanges, amid rising U.S. pressures. Country 3, Cambodia. Cambodia's drift into China's orbit stems from a mix of gratitude and geography. Phnom Penh views Beijing as the big brother who bankrolled its rise from Khmer Rouge ruins, while fearing Vietnam's shadow over its eastern border. Economic debt traps via Belt and Road loans make military alignment a pragmatic shield against default. The deals are overt. The Golden Dragon series escalated in 2025 with amphibious assaults and urban warfare sims involving 2,000 troops each, focusing on island-hopping tactics eerily suited to South China Sea isles. Ream Naval Base upgrades include Chinese hydrographic surveys for submarine pens, plus arms transfers like Type 05 infantry vehicles. Intelligence fusion centers now share Mekong River data, eyeing upstream threats. China covets Cambodia as a SCS gateway, a loyal foothold to project power into the Gulf of Thailand, counter U.S.-Vietnam ties, and secure rare earth mining for EV batteries. It's a low-cost way to normalize PLA presence in ASEAN's heart. This spells trouble for the Philippines. Cambodia's base access funnels more Chinese surveillance drones toward Palawan, heightening West Philippine Sea incidents and isolating Manila within ASEAN. Regional tensions could spike Filipino migration fears among seniors. For the U.S., it's a deterrence domino. Cambodia's pivot undercuts freedom of navigation ops, forcing costly reroutes and eroding alliances like the Quad. The China-Cambodia Golden Dragon 2025 exercise, launched in May, was their largest yet, enhancing joint capabilities in maritime security per China's Ministry of National Defense. Country 4, Laos. Landlocked Laos seeks China's embrace to punch above its weight. Vientiane's military is tiny, dwarfed by neighbors, and Beijing's dams and railways have flooded the economy with debt, binding security as repayment. Why now? Rising Mekong disputes with Thailand and Vietnam push Laos toward a patron who controls the river's headwaters. Cooperation blends infrastructure with firepower. The Friendship Shield drills extended into 2025 with counterinsurgency tactics using the new China-Laos Railway for rapid troop deployment. 300 PLA soldiers rolled in via high-speed rail for the first time. Weaponry includes donated ZBL-08A PCS and joint border patrols with shared satellite intel target ethnic unrest spilling from Myanmar. For China, Laos is Mekong mastery, a quiet corridor to influence downstream nations, secure hydropower investments worth $10 billion, and encircle Vietnam without firing a shot. It tests railroad diplomacy for wartime logistics. The Philippines feels the squeeze. Laos alignment fractures ASEAN cohesion, emboldening Chinese dam projects that disrupt Filipino fishing in the South China Sea via altered currents. U.S. basing in the Philippines grows riskier amid divided neighbors. Washington loses ground in the Lancang-Mekong initiative, with deterrence diluted as Beijing's soft power hardens into steel tracks. The Lowy Institute's August 2025 report names China as Laos' top defense partner, with exchanges surging 40% since 2023. Country 5, Myanmar. Myanmar's junta clings to China amid civil war chaos. Yangon's 2021 coup isolated it globally, but Beijing's vetoes at the UN and unchecked border trade keep the regime afloat. Alignment deepens as rebels threaten BRI pipelines carrying 30% of China's oil imports. The pacts are survivalist. Arms flows include $200 million in drones and artillery since 2024, with joint ops advising junta forces against ethnic armies. Intelligence hubs in Naypyidaw fuse data on Indian Ocean smuggling, and exclusive logging rights fund Myanmar's Air Force upgrades via Chinese J-7 jets. No bases yet, but Kayakpu Port's deepwater berths hint at naval pit stops. China's stake? Stability for investments, $20 billion in pipelines and mines, and a wedge against India's Act East policy, securing Andaman access without alienating Delhi outright. For the Philippines, Myanmar's turmoil spills over. Refugee waves strain ASEAN borders. While Chinese-backed junta ops normalize gray zone tactics Manila faces in the Spratlys, West Philippine Sea patrols could see indirect support from Myanmar's intelligence, the U.S. Indo-Pacific strategy falters. Diverted aid to Myanmar, rebels weakens focus on Philippine capacity building. In September 2025, China endorsed the Myanmar military's interim government rebrand at the SCO summit, signaling unwavering support, per ORCA Asia. Country 6, Bangladesh. Bangladesh's increasing warmth toward China doesn't come from power, it comes from insecurity. For decades, Dhaka's military has struggled with outdated equipment, coastal vulnerability, and political volatility. While it looks to Beijing for submarines, port upgrades, and diplomatic support, the truth is that Bangladesh's security and sovereignty have been repeatedly protected by India, not China. History is the biggest reminder. In 1971, when Bangladesh was being crushed under brutal military repression, it was India's armed forces, intelligence networks, and humanitarian support that liberated the nation in one of the fastest and cleanest military campaigns of the 20th century. Millions of Bengali refugees were sheltered in India, and the Indian Army's Eastern Command cracked Pakistan's war machinery within 13 days, creating modern Bangladesh. China, meanwhile, openly backed Pakistan and opposed Bangladesh's independence at the UN. Even after independence, India remained the stabilizing force, helping Dhaka in counter-terrorism, border fencing, power supply, cyclone response, and insurgent control. Whenever extremist groups tried to destabilize the region, it was Indian and Bangladeshi intelligence cooperation that prevented chaos. But in 2025, Dhaka, under pressure from economic debt and political uncertainty, turns to China to gain leverage. Beijing offers what India refuses to: loans without accountability, weapons without end-use restrictions, and political cover that bypasses democratic norms. A $1.2 billion submarine deal for 2 Type 035G boats, plus monsoon naval drills simulating Bay of Bengal interceptions, signals a shift in Dhaka's calculus. Position Bangladesh as a Bay of Bengal outpost to counter India's navy, monitor Quad logistics routes, and extend influence over South Asian maritime corridors. Port access at Chittagong allows Chinese survey ships that, officially for research, also collect hydrographic data useful for South China Sea deployments. A China-aligned Bangladesh strengthens Beijing's maritime umbrella from the Indian Ocean to the West Philippine Sea. U.S. submarine routes, a UK-US operations, and Indo-Pacific logistics get squeezed. Country 7, Thailand. Thailand is walking one of Asia's most delicate geopolitical tightropes. On one side, it remains a long-standing treaty ally of the United States. On the other, its economy is deeply tied to China, and after the 2025 post-coup political shifts in Bangkok, Beijing's non-interference approach has become far more attractive than Washington's demands for democratic reforms. This shift is showing up clearly in military cooperation. The 2025 Falcon Strike air exercises included advanced beyond visual range combat simulations, complete with J-20 mock-ups and integrated systems training. Thai ground units have increasingly practiced anti-access tactics aligned with Chinese doctrine, while joint cyber teams now share Mekong River intelligence, data that China values heavily for regional resource planning. Thailand has also acquired 12 L-15 trainer aircraft from China, and discussions around using Utapao as a logistics hub give Beijing expanding access to mainland Southeast Asia. For China, Thailand serves a strategic purpose: a potential swing vote inside ASEAN, a pressure point to divide the bloc on South China Sea issues, and a low-risk testing ground for hybrid warfare concepts without committing major forces. For the Philippines, Thailand's drift has consequences. As Bangkok leans toward Beijing, long-running multilateral defense frameworks, especially those connected to Cobra Gold, lose some of their cohesion. A weaker Thailand-US alignment subtly strains the Indo-Pacific strategic chain, reducing the clarity of regional responses to Chinese pressure in the West Philippine Sea. U.S. operational flexibility is also affected, making it harder to shift reinforcements toward the Philippines in a crisis. According to reporting cited by Chinese state media, the Falcon Strike 2025 drills launched in mid-September and significantly boosted Air Force interoperability between China and Thailand. Country 8. Malaysia. Malaysia's tilt toward China is shaped less by ideology and more by hard pragmatism. Kuala Lumpur is frustrated by Beijing's intrusions into its exclusive economic zone, yet simultaneously dependent on Chinese capital. Nearly $100 billion in investments tied to infrastructure, energy, and industrial parks. For Malaysian leaders, limited military cooperation with China becomes a strategic hedge, a way to avoid leaning too heavily on either superpower while buying room to maneuver. This balancing act was on full display during Aman Yuyi 2025, the largest China-Malaysia exercise to date. Held in October, the drill brought together 1,500 troops for humanitarian and disaster relief operations in the Malacca Strait, one of the world's most critical choke points, along with coordinated naval gunnery and maritime patrol scenarios. Malaysia has also accepted transfers of Light Hawk UAVs and signed radar technology pacts that strengthen its coastal and archipelagic surveillance, giving Beijing an opening into Malaysia's defense modernization. For China, Malaysia plays a strategic role far bigger than its size. Neutralizing or softening a Southeast Asian claimant helps Beijing reduce opposition in the South China Sea while securing stable passage for the 80% of Chinese oil imports that transit the Strait of Malacca. Beijing reinforces this through its community of shared future narrative, framing cooperation as partnership rather than pressure, even as territorial disputes simmer quietly beneath the surface. But for the Philippines, the consequences are significant. Malaysia's softer posture weakens ASEAN's collective stand on maritime rights, muting regional responses over hotspots like Scarborough Shoal. A divided ASEAN leaves Manila more isolated in diplomatic forums, while China gains diplomatic cover to enforce harsher fishing restrictions, directly affecting Filipino fishing communities. Even U.S. intelligence links with Malaysia, once bolstered through limited Five Eyes cooperation, show signs of strain as Kuala Lumpur shifts toward a cautious middle path. According to Reuters reporting from October 2025, the China-Malaysia exercise placed strong emphasis on maritime security and coordinated sea operations, showcasing how Beijing's military footprint is expanding even in states wary of its ambitions. Country 9. Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka's slow recovery from its post-2022 debt crisis has drawn it deeper into China's strategic orbit. After the country's historic default, Beijing's emergency loans, port restructuring deals, and military assistance have become central to Colombo's stabilization efforts. China now presents itself as a dependable partner, one that offers money without governance conditions and military training without political scrutiny. This cooperation accelerated significantly in 2025. High-level exchanges led to expanded naval activities off Colombo, including visits by Chinese UN-class submarines and enhanced officer training programs at PLA institutions. Major upgrades at the deep-water Trincomalee Harbor, officially for commercial use, now include berthing provisions tied to a $500 million radar and surveillance package, subtly granting the PLA Navy logistical flexibility in the central Indian Ocean. For Beijing, Sri Lanka is a critical node in its wider Indian Ocean strategy. Positioned along vital sea lanes that handle over $1 trillion in annual Chinese shipping, Sri Lanka forms part of the String of Pearls network, ports, facilities, and partnerships that provide Beijing with options to monitor U.S. carrier groups, influence choke points, and secure energy flows from the Middle East and Africa. It is also a convenient platform for deepening economic influence through tea, rubber, and port-related investments. The ripple effects reach all the way to Southeast Asia. For the Philippines, China's expanding naval reach through Sri Lanka means more surveillance pressure across the Indo-Pacific. Submarines resupplied in the central Indian Ocean could move toward the Luzon Strait or shadow Allied vessels transiting into the West Philippine Sea, complicating Manila's maritime security posture. U.S. operations out of Diego Garcia also face new flanking risks as China gains additional footholds south of India. A July 2025 report by the Center for Strategic and Emerging Policy, CSEP, outlined how China's military diplomacy in Sri Lanka, port access agreements, officer training, and naval engagements has grown into a key pillar of Beijing's Indian Ocean power projection. Country 10, Solomon Islands. The Solomon Islands' shift toward China stems less from ideology and more from economic desperation. After Honiara cut ties with Taiwan in 2019, Chinese aid, loans, and construction projects poured in, but recurring climate disasters, collapsing infrastructure, and rising costs kept the country dependent. By 2025, security cooperation became framed not as geopolitics but as economic survival. For the Solomon Islands leadership, China's money arrives faster and with fewer conditions than Western aid. The 2022 Security Pact has since evolved into something deeper. Joint policing drills expanded in 2025, with Chinese peacekeeping instructors training local forces in crowd control and maritime patrols. Discussions around upgrading the Munda airfield to a dual-use facility have intensified, officially for disaster relief, but with clear strategic implications. Intelligence sharing now includes data on Pacific migration routes, information Beijing can use to monitor submarine activity and movements across the wider Indo-Pacific. For China, the Solomon Islands is not just another partner, it's a potential gateway to reshaping the balance of power in the Pacific. A foothold in these islands challenges the traditional US-Australia security umbrella, protects half-billion-dollar tuna fisheries, and allows Beijing to test its small island diplomacy strategy against AUKUS influence. Even without a formal military base, China gains political leverage, maritime access, and intelligence positioning. For the Philippines, the impact is more indirect but strategically significant. A stronger Chinese presence in the Solomon Islands threatens southern Indo-Pacific sea routes, tightening Beijing's maritime arc from the Pacific to the South China Sea. It boosts China's confidence in pressuring Manila, knowing it has supportive positions stretching from the Solomons to Palau and deeper into Micronesia. At the same time, U.S. bases in Guam and surrounding territories face increased operational strain as China extends its reach into the Pacific's traditional safe zone. According to reporting from September 2025, China and the Solomon Islands formally committed to deepening security cooperation in the name of domestic stability, signaling that Beijing's Pacific footprint will continue to grow. As we pull back from this lineup, from Pakistan's battle-hardened fronts to the Solomon Islands, sun-baked atolls, a mosaic emerges. Asia's military landscape fracturing into multipolar fault lines. China's alliances aren't a monolith. They're opportunistic threads weaving through debt diplomacy, shared grudges, and pragmatic bets on Beijing's rise. Is this the dawn of a new era, where U.S. unipolarity yields to bipolar jostling, or something messier? A patchwork where loyalties shift like monsoon winds? ASEAN, that fragile family of 10, teeters. Unity on paper, but divisions in practice, as members like Cambodia and Laos cozy up while the Philippines stands firm. The US-China rivalry? It's no longer just carrier groups circling Taiwan, it's proxy drills in the Bay of Bengal and intel swaps in the Pacific, forcing Washington to spread butter thin across a vast theater. For Filipinos, whether safeguarding homes in Mindanao, wiring remittances from California, or planning that long-dreamed retirement trip to Boracay, this matters deeply. A more multipolar Asia could mean safer seas if balances hold, or flashpoints if they don't. Heightened West Philippine Sea patrols, disrupted trade routes hiking OFW costs, or even calls for mandatory service among our youth. Yet, there's agency here. Manila's EDCA expansions and ASEAN centrality pushback show resilience. The future? Not predestined doom, but a call to navigate wisely. Diversify partnerships, invest in homegrown defense tech, and remember that true security blooms from economic strength, not just steel. What lingers is this: in a world of giants, small states like ours don't just react. We shape the board. Asia's security tomorrow hinges on choices today. Will it be confrontation's cage or cooperation's bridge? If this opened your eyes to the moves shaping our shared horizon, share it with someone who follows geopolitics. Hit subscribe to Discovering the Earth for more unfiltered dives into Philippines' place in the world. What's your take? Ally or adversary? Comment below. Until next time, keep questioning the map.